Hello! And might I just start by saying, now that I've said that, got that out of the way, thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I'm 5 minutes late. Honestly, I had the test card up and everything, ready to go, everything sorted, and then my laptop turns off because I forgot to plug it in. And I know you don't care about this, but I woke up this morning and I thought, I won't get in the shower, right? Because Catherine was out. Because as soon as I get in the shower, the Amazon guy will come with the new battery for my laptop that I ordered yesterday. And by the way, it wasn't 40 quid. It was a bit more than that. Literally, it was coming up to 12:30. And I thought, I've got to have a shower before I do this. Don't want people smelling me over the internet. And the bloody delivery came at the moment. I must have stepped in the shower. It was a really quick shower. Anyway, so I didn't get my new battery. And my laptop has run out of batteries. And so I've plugged it in now. It should be fine. Hopefully you can hear me. I have a mic. It should be working. I don't know. I'm just not to touch the table at all. I seem to have lost me. I used to have a little fuzzy thing that this sits on. Little foam thing to stop any vibrations. It's very sensitive. We're very sensitive, by the way. We're snowflakes. We're libtard snowflakes, and that's all right, they can call us that. But if you call them gammon, because they look like gammon, then they'll get all upset. So today I'm going to talk about the future of the Rejoin campaign, I guess, and the future of Britain, and the future for our children that has been mapped out by the idiots in power, and their useful idiots who just follow them around like little hound dogs, going, "Oh, throw me another treat, master," and it's really, really embarrassing. But before that, I'd just like to tell you this because I just think it's absolutely hilarious. If you don't know, there's a thing going around on Twitter at the moment, and it's Matt Hancock's signature. Have you seen it? It's just the word Matt. He signs his signature with just his first name, like an idiot, like an actual idiot, like a village idiot. I'm surprised he didn't just put a cross. Oh my God. And this guy's in charge of our coronavirus response. No wonder we've got the highest death rate in the universe. Anyway, or one of them. Right. Anyway, so jump into the messages here. I've got Plum Duff getting old. Got a Happy New Year from Australia, from Jim Bob. It's already, no, hang on. No, Australia would be 11. Yes! It's Happy New Year. It's 1 o'clock. So yes, it's Happy New Year, Australia. So Happy New Year, everyone. In 2021, they've escaped successfully 2020, which hung around at least a day longer than it needed to. Not as bad as 2016, which actually hung around not just a day longer than it needed to because it was a leap year. It was also one of those years now and again when they add a leap second to the atomic clock because the Earth wobbles a bit, so the Earth's not as accurate as an atomic clock, so they have to add an extra second to the year now and again. And they did that in 2016 because that year wasn't bad enough. It didn't go on long enough. We didn't lose enough famous, wonderful people. No, we had to, have it just 1 second more. It was 1 second too much for me. Happy New Year from Plum Duff. Got technical difficulties from Darren. Yes, my bloody laptop turned off again, but yeah, it shouldn't do that again now. Technical difficulties. Firefighting live with Graham Hughes. At least you had the mic today, yeah. It's a better stream, lol, than the Tories blocked. The Tories have blocked Graham, probably. Sound and picture are great. Yeah, cool, thank you. But that might not be the picture of me, but just the quality, I'm sure, the quality. COVID legislation has barely affected me. Had to work non-stop to get no gym and masks while shopping. No one wears masks in warehouse. We've all had it. Herd immunity. Yeah. And the more people who get it, the more likely you are to get a mutation. Good job that hasn't happened. Hi, Mike. That's Darren. Attila says, anyone else's Twitter gone batshit crazy today? No, I haven't noticed. Do you mean Attila? Do you mean just like people writing crazy stuff or what? Haha, never mind. Hearing you very well. Excellent. Jim Bob there saying, if you bring a nice steaming plum duff with white custard. I'm not a fan of custard. It feels like war food, like Hershey's chocolate. Hershey's chocolate tastes like chocolate you will get in a war because you can't get proper chocolate. That's what Hershey's chocolate tastes like. That and cardboard. Yeah, Francois pour moi. I'm the king of the gammon king. I am the king of the gammon. Yeah, the gammon VIP. The Brexit VIP. Good afternoon from Germany. Guten Tag to Pete there. We've got Taki saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hat Mancock from Dream Bob, which was really funny because when I told my partner Catherine, I said, Matt Hancock signs his signature just Matt. And she went, yeah, because he probably keeps writing Mancock as his surname. And it's getting embarrassing, so he just doesn't do it anymore. Bojo's father has applied for French citizenship. Oh my giddy aunt. Oh my God, Taki. That does not surprise me. I mean, nothing would surprise me these days. The hypocrisy. This is what Brexit is. It's just hypocrisy on steroids. It's this idea that we're going to get more sovereignty, which is this nebulous idea that we get to make our own decisions. But in order to get this sovereignty, we've got to destroy all of our sovereignty, which is what I'm going to come on to later today. Early Happy New Year to everyone. Well, hey, hope your work colleagues are okay and no long-term effects. Yeah, it's terrible, the situation. And I explained on the Hughes at 10 show back in November that my dad was taken ill at the end of, he stopped eating. He's got dementia. He's got vascular dementia, and he stopped eating at the end of August. And then at the beginning of September, his liver shut down and we had to take him to the hospital. I went home to Liverpool to help care for him. He came back from the hospital. It was delayed because of COVID concerns. Everyone had to be tested. So he's tested, didn't have COVID. He came home, and then instead of having the same team of nurses, healthcare professionals coming out every day to look after him in full PPE, the NHS, the government has farmed these contracts out to care providers, right? These Mickey Mouse operations that don't give their staff proper PPE. If they want a face shield, they have to buy it themselves. There's no regular testing, or there was no regular testing from this company. Or the companies, your mileage may vary. I don't know. This is just the company that we were dealing with. And every freaking day, it seemed like a different two nurses would come along to help me dad. Because obviously he was bed bound, he couldn't get up, he needed to be washed and all this kind of stuff. So, we were there for, he was only back from hospital less than a week when my mum and I started getting symptoms of COVID. And so she went for a test. We waited 4 days for results. We couldn't leave my dad on his own, so we thought, well, my mum will go for a test and we'll see what happens. Wasn't expecting it to take 4 days. Took 4 days to come through. It was positive. I went for a test. Took 4 days to come through. It was negative. Although by then I felt like crap and I had lost my sense of taste and smell. And obviously I'd been living in a house with two people and my dad tested positive. So I knew my dad had it, I knew my mum had it. We were all in the same house together. I was tested negative. And the reason we got it was because of these healthcare workers coming into the house in inadequate PPE. And they're not just going to our house. They're going to dozens of houses in the local area every day. And being very, very close, intimate contact, obviously, with the patients they're dealing with. And this is the ring of care that this bullshit government apparently put around people. Now, my dad, God love him, he didn't seem to suffer. He couldn't really explain if he was upset or in pain, but it was terrifying. It was a terrifying experience. Sitting there in the living room, we've got like a hospital bed in the living room, watching. I was just sort of like had the late night TV on and just waiting for my dad to go to sleep and just hearing him breathe. And worrying the whole time, if he stops breathing, what do I do? Call up the ambulance and all this kind of stuff. And living with that fear is something that no government should put on its people. But this government did. And when people say, lockdowns don't work, they do. Have a look at the difference between the COVID outbreaks in Northern Ireland compared with the Republic of Ireland. It is like night and day because the Republic of Ireland have done it properly, has done it as well as they possibly could. Whereas the UK has had half-arsed lockdowns, they celebrated the pubs reopening on July the 4th, the day that we, got kicked out of America by the French. Yay! And then you've got them saying, we've got to eat out to help out. So they wanted people to go out and mingle over the summer. And then they sent the universities back. And what happened? A week later, there was a massive second wave of COVID, which is now mutated and is now more virulent, more contagious than it was before. And this is just another example of just how shite this government is. I mean, it couldn't do a worse job. It really couldn't. It's such a Mickey Mouse operation. And then this mad celebration at the end of the year that they've got this shit deal with the EU, where we said, oh, if you don't give us this deal, we'll have no deal, which would have had bad financial consequences for the EU. Yeah, but it would have been absolutely catastrophic for the United Kingdom. Even threatening them with that was just childish and stupid. And you look at the deal, read it. It is exactly what the EU wanted. 2 years ago, they went, you want all this? And we went, okay. Fishermen aren't happy, are they? Bank of England isn't happy. The financial institutions aren't happy. Services, 80% of our GDP, not happy. Musicians, our talent, our artists, our actors, amazingly huge part of our economy. They're not happy. But you know who's happy? Your racist uncle. Great. Bloody wonderful. I'm glad this brought him some happiness in his twilight years. Maybe it brought his erections back. I don't know. Anyway, so, they can pull the plug on us. Sorry, have I had the plug on us? What? We made it. 2020 is done. I fear we're going to lurch further and further to the right. That's from Daniel Dobson. Sugar-free saying the care industry could not have been done better to spread a virus. Yeah. It's just perfect for private companies not all working under one set of regulations with one pool of PPE. No, we got to open it out to the market. Let the market decide. It's so childish. It's just the most idiotic way of looking at a complex problem. How do we provide a society for people? Well, we like to buy and sell things. Yeah, well, let's make that dictate everything. What about common sense? What about compassion? What about giving to others and loving your neighbour? No. It's just what we buy and sell, because if you buy and sell more stuff, then that dictates morality somehow. It is just disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Anyway, we're stuck with these dickheads for the next 4 years. So what I want to do is to make their lives a misery, as much of a misery as they have made our lives, by taking away our rights, taking away our privileges, taking away our citizenship of the European Union, which obviously the transition period ends tonight, and from tomorrow it's going to be red tape aplenty, 50,000 more customs officers. Oh my God! These are the same dickheads that called the EU the EUSSR. Oh, right. Do you know what they had in the USSR, right? They had people who dug holes and then filled them in, so they had a job. That's the way it worked. And do you know what happened to the Soviet Union? It collapsed. Why? Well, partly because it lost a war in Afghanistan. Never invade Afghanistan, you're never going to win. But partly because the Berlin Wall came down, but mostly because the economics just didn't work. You can't create jobs for the sake of creating jobs. It never works. That's something that the market actually does dictate. Leave that bit to the market if you want. That's fine. And we can give support to businesses. That's okay. Nothing to do with morality, necessarily. But getting people to dig holes so they can fill them in to say they've done a good day's work is ridiculous. 50,000 customs officers when we didn't need them before. We've got Farage garages popping up all over the country. It's not just Kent. There's one, you travel down the M62 from Liverpool now and towards Manchester, and you get to Warrington, and you'll see a big sign saying, here's where you go for customs clearance from the EU. There's a big car park there where the Hermes site is and all that sort of thing. Near the old RAF Burton Wood landing thing. I was talking about the festival of Brexit the other day, and I was just having to think about like what it would be. And all I can imagine is like on the poster, it's like an old man doing depraved sexual things to a fish and a Spitfire. And I think that would just sum it up. That would just sum up Brexit. Some dirty old man, right? Yeah. Anyway, whinging about not being able to say certain words anymore. Isn't the funeral march a German composition? At midnight, I shall revive some of my frustration and effing Brexit by shouting, "Fuck Brexit!" it at the top of my voice in the garden. That's a good idea. Where's the public outcry against this biblical level of misuse of public funds? Too much 77? I don't know. I'm out crying about it. 19 billion spent on test and trace didn't fucking work. I'm pissed about it. I want to smash the system. But unfortunately, I live in a country full of people who would rather do a cake bake and drink a nice hot cup of tea. So here I am in my basement screaming about this because that's all I can do at the moment. Bloody COVID. But let me out my cage. Let me out of this basement. Let's start doing stuff. One of the things I want to do when they had this festival of fucking Brexit in 2022, we need to have a festival of Europe. Make it massive. Make it Glastonbury side. Get on classical music, get on pop music, rock music, get all these musicians from across Europe and from around Britain who are pissed off, especially the British ones who can't play in Europe anymore because they were missed off the list. I found out today that was Priti Patel, by the way. That was Priti Patel. The EU, like it said about Erasmus, do you want to still be part of Erasmus? You can be. We said no. They said, do you want a special exemption for work permits for musicians who are gigging around the continent or artists or actors and the creative professions? No, we don't want that. So my job sometimes as a presenter for various airlines or travel companies or tourist boards of countries in Europe, that's gone. I'm not going to get that anymore. Someone with an EU passport will get that. And you'll see in the adverts that you apply for, it will say, must hold EU passport. You're going to see that more and more over the next couple of years. And we need to be here to point it out, which is something that I'll come to. We're having this conversation about Funeral Mass by Frédéric Chopin, Polish-French. There you go, like Pierre and Marie Curie. I feel I want the same to smash the system. So good to hear you're as angry as I am. Yes, Suzanne, I am raging, as you can probably tell. And yeah, I'm sure there might be some Brexiteers watching this going, yay, I've upset Graham. My life's complete. And that is so pathetic. That is so pathetic. It's quite fun. But they call us snowflakes. They say we haven't lived in the real world. We haven't lived in the real world. And I'm like, mate, how about you spend a week in a Congolese jail cell on your own with no food? Go on then, knobhead. And then tell me how you, living your shitty little life, watching soap operas and having a crap job that you hate and whinge about, and a wife who you just whinge about all the time, and kids who you don't see because you don't like them. Tell me about how that's more living life than what I've done with my life. Please do, because obviously I just don't have enough life experiences. The twats. Anyway, getting back to the point of the Festival of Europe. Yes, a Bellowhead reunion would be nice. A Radiohead. We'll have Radiohead. We'll have Machine Head, we'll have Talking Heads, we'll have all the heads, we'll have the tones, we'll have the undertones, we'll have the deftones, we'll have the blue tones, we'll have all of them. We'll do the whole thing where we have the 50s bands, which are Something and the Somethings, then we'll have the 60s bands, which are the Something, then we have the 70s bands, which have just got 20 names, the 80s bands, which are, I think, what were the 80s bands? What was the style with them? Oh, it was the same name twice, so it'd be name. And then the 90s band will just be name, so it'd be Pulp or Oasis, Radiohead. It was just one word. And then I think they kind of gave up the tradition of just having a phase with band names in the 2000s. And it all just was a bit of a mix. Anyway, moving back to the messages. I went off on my own little rant there. Today feels like a funeral day and not New Year's. After watching BBC One, they appear so positive about Brexit. Yes, because they're told to be by the government, and they have to do what the government says, because otherwise they'll lose their charter and they'll have even more money stripped of them. Since the government said we're going to give free TV licenses to people who are over the age of 65 or 75 or whatever it was, and then they go, we changed our minds. If you want to continue that, the BBC's got to pay for it. So the BBC said we can't afford this, and the government said, oh well, never mind. Now everyone hates the BBC because they've backheeled this deal where people who did have a TV license for free can't have one anymore. Nice of the government. They're very... They might come across as incompetent, and I will criticise their incompetence till the day the cows come home. However, there is method in the madness. There is at least one person in government going, who knows what they're doing, and what they're doing is fucking evil. Let's not forget that. Hernandez in Spain is saying, been seeing job ads, EU citizens only need apply for a while now here in Spain. David says, oh yeah, I've read that one. Don't invite Morrissey. Now, maybe we could invite Morrissey. And he thinks he's going to sing, but he's actually going to be the judge at a sausage eating event. No? Okay. It is a great way to bait Morrissey, is to say, like, every time Morrissey is a dick, I'm going to eat a bacon sandwich. And you would think that would stop him being a dick, but it doesn't. It's a bit like that joke about U2 where Bono starts clapping his hands. And he says, every time I clap my hands, a child dies. And someone shouts, stop clapping! Darian says, invite Morrissey, but only to Southall. Simply Tory propaganda. Yeah, it has gone that way, hasn't it? Where the BBC is so cowed, they're so meek, they're so like, oh, we can't say anything because, we'll get into trouble, and they want to keep everyone happy all the time. And Channel 4, God love them, they just went, sod it, we're going to have a deep fake Queen Christmas speech. Brilliant. Well done, Channel 4. At least someone's got some piss and vinegar in them still. Channel 4 News, again, like they were the ones who broke the big story that got ignored by everybody else back in October about Cambridge Analytica in America, micro-targeting voters and having the information about all these different voters so they could send them stuff to get them not to vote for Hillary Clinton. No, they didn't want them to vote for Trump. They just didn't want them to go out and vote for Hillary Clinton. Going back to something I keep saying, to win an election, to win anything, it's about getting people out. It's about getting your team out. It's not necessarily about changing hearts and minds. However, we do now have a pause. We do now have 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years in the wilderness, and we need to do a bit of softly catchy monkey. I get that, because we do need to bring people on side. I keep saying I don't want to even try to go back to the EU until we know that we have a good 66% majority of people that want to rejoin the EU in this country. It's no good going back in with 50-50, because this thing will just go on and on and on. I mean, it probably will. I mean, even if we go back into the EU with a 66% majority, it's not going to shut the likes of Nigel Farage up. Of course it isn't. This is bread and butter for them. And I don't see why. This is a point that I was going to make about the government and the Brexiteers. All they want right now is for you to shut up. It's for me to shut up. It's to everyone in the Grassroots for Europe campaigns around the country, in Best for Britain, in March for Change, everyone to shut up. That's what they want us to do. So we're not going to. Because they didn't shut up in 1975. After they lost the referendum in the EC, it was Remain 66%, it was Leave 33%, and then just 8 years later, in the 1983 Labour Party manifesto, Michael Foot we put in the manifesto that we were going to leave the EEC if he got elected. And also Bacchial Trident and a bunch of other things that, good luck, mate. And he lost hugely, bigly. But back then, it was the hard left hated the EU. They saw it as a free market club. Rather than the positive force in society that it actually is. And a lot of them, Jeremy Corbyn, still have that outdated 1970s way of thinking. Just going back to some of the messages here, it'd be interesting to see how the UK media will be in mentioning Brexit in 2021. BJ has already issued a gag order. Nothing negative will be connected to Brexit. So I'm going to come on to this as a thing of what we need to do. So what I have here is, if I go to my Google Docs. So last night I had a meeting with representatives from the Grassroots for Europe, which I mentioned. I'm really sorry. A lot of people got in touch with me afterwards through my website, through rejoineu.uk, saying they'd like to take part. And I did an email to everyone with their addresses on, and I pressed send. I'm sure I pressed send. And then I left my mum's, because my mum's, that's why I had to do the bit of an ad hoc episode yesterday. And when I got back to Durham, I realised that the email hadn't sent, so they only got about 15 minutes notice of the meeting. So if you managed to take part, great. If you didn't, this is basically what I said, which I'm going to show you. Well, I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to read it to you. So this is Rejoin EU. So there's a reason why it's called Rejoin and not Join, which is because if you see the word Rejoin, slap, on a sticker, on a lamppost, you're just going to think that's got to be the EU. You don't have to have EU written after it. You don't have to have a little circle of stars. You just think, yeah, rejoin. What's the thing we should rejoin? The EU. Okay, yeah. Whereas if you put join, not too much sense. And then if anything else, let's go back into the customs union or the single market. Look, the vast majority of people don't know what the customs union is. And I've got no problem with that, in the same way that most normal people don't know what the capital of Burkina Faso is. Because why would you? Unless you've been there, lived there, have people there, friends there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not something that really comes into people's heads unless they're in business and they need stuff taken across the border a lot. The rejoin is the destination. But we have a long way to go to get to that point, to get to rejoining the EU. We need to win the battle of hearts and minds. That is a big one. And getting the message out there about the damaging effects of Brexit is massive. It's hugely important. And I want everyone who watches these podcasts or live shows, whatever they are, the live discussions, to sign up to, I haven't sorted everything out yet, so give me a minute. But when you can, sign up as a volunteer as part of Rejoin and the Rejoin movement, because we have things to do. So basically, the mission statement is, we believe the future of England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, see, I've actually split them up rather than just put Britain for obvious reasons, lies at the heart of the European Union. We are prepared to toil ceaselessly towards that goal. Rejoin is a movement working with and for affiliated pro-EU groups and individual activists as well. We understand and acknowledge that this will be a long and arduous process. We will learn from our experiences in the Remain campaign, accentuate the positives while endeavouring not to repeat the negatives. I've said that in the most diplomatic way I possibly can. I mean, don't get me started on the Remain campaign. I mean, we've already done a few episodes of podcast about it, but it's didn't go to plan, did it? Rejoin EU's 4 pillars are communication, support, lobbying, and activism. Now, communication is absolutely key, and it is where we fell down at every step of the freaking way, because we were trying to be, clever, because we didn't want to be direct. On one side you had vote leave, really obvious, and the other side you had stronger in. Not vote remain, stronger in. No, mistake. Should have just called it vote remain, right? And then afterwards, we had all these groups. We had Best for Britain. What's Best for Britain? Maybe leaving the EU. I don't know. We had March for Change. I don't know. I still don't know what the thinking is behind that, because it's like, that could mean anything. It could be a march organised by the far right, because they want to change things so they can run around being little Nazis and get away with it. I don't know. We had the Best for Britain, March for Change, the People's Vote. Are the people who voted in 2016 not people? The People's Vote for what? And what do we vote? Do we get this vote, and then do we vote to remain, or do we vote to leave? What do we do? So all these things were stop drinking soy blue. What? Is this coming up weird on the screen? Fizzy water. So basically we need clear communication, and this is key. And people go, we need more young people. We need more young people. And I'm like, no, leave them to do what they need to do. Young people are very interested in the environment. Let them do the environment stuff, okay? We don't need young people to do what we need to do over the next few years. Big thing is, get out of our goddamn bubbles. Get out of our bubbles. And we can only do this by either talking to people direct, which takes a long time, or we can do this where we see it as our mission, at least for the next year, maybe longer, to point out how shit Brexit is. Because the BBC aren't going to mention it. The tabloids are just going to shut up. They're already behind this crap deal. They won't admit that it's a crap deal. Nobody's saying in the media that it's a crap deal, except in The Guardian, which people don't read. I mean, some people do, but I mean, the people that we need to see that Brexit's a bad thing aren't going to read that. So we need to get off our asses. We need to have leaflets printed out, localized leaflets, right? For a business that has folded, as someone who's lost their job, a supermarket price that's gone up, the local supermarket. And we need to leaflet areas. Us activists need to do that. So once every couple of weeks, we go out on a Saturday afternoon and we leaflet all the houses just in our local area. That's it. Yeah. And these are localized leaflets. They're A5, black and white, the Brexit news. And it tells you something terrible that's happened because of Brexit. And at the very bottom, if we need it, we have the small print saying, this was printed and distributed by #Rejoin EU. That's what we need to do. For starters, we also need to be getting back together again, which we can't do at the moment because of COVID. But what we can do is weekly Zoom meetings where everyone, like myself, who is passionate about doing something, can get together and we can decide what we can do. And one of the other problems that we had in the Remain movement was that with all these different groups. So if I was trying to organise a march in Manchester, for instance, we had to set up our own website, we had to set up our own fundraising, we had to set up our own bank account. Don't want to do that again. That was a mistake. I mean, it wasn't a mistake. The show was really good, but I mean, we had Mitch Benn as our compere. It was great. But the idea is that we have one national committee that has the bank balance, the bank account, and does all the fundraising, and then that gets allocated out to the groups. Either on a membership basis or when they say, hey, we want to do a show. We want to put some music on for musicians who can't play in bloody Europe anymore because of this stupid rule that we didn't need to put in there. It just seemed vindictive because they know that the arts are generally remain. They know that the universities are generally remain. So they get rid of Erasmus. They know that scientists are generally remain. So they cut research funding. I mean, it's all this kind of stuff. It's like, it's vindictive shit that is done against people who have bothered to pay attention in school, I guess. And I mentioned the Khmer Rouge the other day. This is the British Khmer Rouge. Make no mistake about it. This is a movement, and you knew this exactly as soon as Gove said, we're sick of experts. And since then, it's just gone on and on and on. Our remaining universities was the headline in the Mail newspaper. But if we're going to circumvent the powers of social media, Facebook, which is evil, Twitter, which is moderately less evil, but still evil, we need to go door to door and get this message out because otherwise it's not going to get out there. So please, if you're watching this and you do want to get involved, head over to rejoineu.uk. There's a form at the bottom. Say, Graham, I want to get involved. I'll give you the link so you can join in the weekly Zoom meetings. They'll be on Wednesday evenings, every Wednesday, and we'll try and get as many of these Remaniacs around the country and groups involved as humanly possible so we can all work together. Because at the moment, we're all working in isolation, which isn't working. We all just need to come together. And if that's all I can achieve on this, that'll be great. But obviously, I want to do more. I want to do so much more. Let the salt flow. Bye, Gavin. What's that? Rejoin! Ta-ta for now. Winning. That Sugar Free's made it sound like, oh, you said rejoin. I'm leaving now. Don't put it like that, Sugar Free. Gavin, your mum's calling spam for lunch. Gavin Wilkinson. Oh, we've got a Wilkinson. Okay. So sad. We've just seen Australia New Year's Eve display. Yeah, Australia's fairly back to normal. Not completely. I mean, nowhere will be for a while. But Britain is really bearing the brunt of just having the most incompetent government since governments. All I think of is Nero playing the fiddle while Rome burns, and we have Tories on the fiddle while Britain burns or breaks into four. We've got it's over. Stop trying to overturn the public will. Well, Mr. Principled Uncertainty there. Why wasn't it over in 1975? Like I said, just if you might have missed it, but in the 1983 Michael Foot Labour manifesto, he said, let's pull out the EEC. After a 2/3 majority in 1975 said they wanted to stay in the EEC. So there might be an argument for saying, well, that wasn't the EU, because the EU didn't come along until 1992. But hang on, what? When you lose something in politics or in football or in anything in life, It doesn't mean you just stop existing. It doesn't mean that you go, oh, okay, fair enough. You won the argument by having more corruption on your side, which is what happened in this respect. And I will never, ever, ever, ever accept the fact that we have been pulled out of Europe. Scotland's been pulled out of it against its will. 52% voted to remain. Liverpool has been pulled out against its will. Over 50% voted to remain in Liverpool. We are being pulled out of our club by people who are on the same side as every racist in the country, every Tory toff in the country who went to Eton or Harrow and has never lived in the real world. Oh, and the scum that killed Joe Cox. Yeah, I don't want to be on their team. I don't want them to win, ever. So it doesn't matter. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to make videos. You can't stop me. And I hope that Brexit is just as awful for you as it's going to be for the rest of us. Sorry, that's not a very nice thing to wish on someone at this season of goodwill, but, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that the bad guys have won, and we have made everybody in this country poorer except for the millionaires. And the people who are poorer than the millionaires think this is great. I mean, how do these people live on their knees? Surely it must hurt after a while. Do they wear knee pads? I don't know. I couldn't live my life like that, being fawning over these rich people because they speak posh and went to a posh school. Oh, they must be intelligent. They must be intelligent because their parents were rich. No, they must be inbred because their parents are rich. That's the way we should be thinking. Prove you're not inbred by not being a massive dickhead racist, and we might let you into the club. There are certain people who are born rich who are lovely. Who are great. Who are really good people who like people from around the world and like their neighbours and like our European colleagues and friends. But then there's a bunch of them who are scumbags and they seem to have all the power. But if you're cool with that, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I can see why people hear Jacob Rees-Mogg's plummy tones and get sexually aroused by it, I assume. And they hear someone who's got a regional accent and think, oh, I'm not going to listen to that person because they don't sound posh enough. And, I can't think of them when I'm having sex with my wife. But yeah, so, whatever turns you on, mate. Which politicians are going to support Rejoin? Whatever we achieve is ultimately going to have to go through Parliament. Yeah, too much 77. So lobbying is going to be a huge part of this as well. We need to get politicians who are friendly. We need local journalists who are friendly who let us know that a butcher's shop on Eton Road has closed down, and then we can say, okay, we need to put this on a leaflet and put it out around West Derby so we can let people know that the butcher's shop has closed down and it's a direct result of Brexit because they're not going to find out any other way. So that's got to be done. But yeah, with the politicians lobbying, we don't necessarily go in all guns blazing. We want to rejoin the EU immediately. No, this is going to be a long process. We've got bags of time. I've got the rest of my life to fight this battle, and I'm in no rush because if we rush it, we'll fuck it up. So we go to the politicians and we don't say we want to rejoin the EU. We say we want to rejoin Erasmus. We want musicians to be able to travel around Europe freely and gig without having to get work permits in every single country that they go to, and import licenses for all their instruments, which is something else that musicians now have to do because this scumbag Tory government, basically the party of fuck business. That's what Boris Johnson said, and he has done. At least that was one thing he wasn't lying about, although he didn't say it officially, he muttered it. But seriously, the one thing he didn't lie about. And it was the one thing that you would have liked him to lie about. Oh, he was only joking. No, he wasn't joking. Boris Johnson, a man who's never had to work a day in his life because he was born fabulously wealthy and went to Eton and went to Oxford University and got a plum job with the Telegraph or the Mail or one of those bloody papers as a columnist, not even as a journalist, as a columnist, making stuff up about Europe. That was his job. And he got fired for making stuff up. You couldn't make that up, could you? Yes, you could. If you're Boris Johnson, he then got fired from the Shadow Cabinet in the 2000s for lying. He lied to his wives. He lied to his mistresses. He cheated on his wife, who was suffering from cancer, with the woman he's with now. And he cheated with the woman he's with now with another woman at the same time that his wife was getting treated by cancer. What a good guy. I want him on my team. Only joking. I don't want him on my team. He can fuck off and die. So, that's just my take on it. I think it's got some messages coming up here. Got Sugar Free saying, I think it's so that every word of Brexit and negotiate with the EU comes up, it's out of a Tory mouth. I want Brexit not to disappear. I don't want people not to notice. I don't want the frog to boil in the water. And that's why it's so important that we keep saying this is the fault of Brexit. Why are things shit? Why is our economy not taking off? Why were we the 5th biggest economy in the world? We're now the 6th. We're on course to be the 7th. And you know what? It's a pretty quick drop off out of the top 20. And it's possible. It is possible over the next few years. We're already in a massive recession. We could go into a depression because we have made ourselves the least competitive advanced economy in the world. Only 39 advanced economies, and we are the least competitive of all of them now because we have just shot ourselves in the foot. The EU deals that the EU has with South Korea, with Singapore, with Japan, with Canada are better than the deals that we've got. The deal, so this trade reduction deal, as Lord Adonis likes to call it, I'm going to use that term because it's good, the trade reduction deal. Which basically the EU it sells more goods to us than we sell the EU. And it has made sure that it can get its goods to us tariff free. That's what the EU wanted to ensure. So it could still sell its stuff to us. In services, we run a massive surplus, not a deficit, a surplus. So we sell more services to the EU than the EU sells to us. On that side of things, there's been no agreement whatsoever. Well, very few agreements, actually, if you read the text of the deal. It hardly covers services at all. And that's 80% of our economy. And these absolute Brexit idiots who can... I think if they tried to clap, they'll be like this. Do you know what I mean? They're not all there. They're celebrating this. They're celebrating being defeated comprehensively and caving in to the European Union. The same European Union that we have given $1.6 trillion of assets to. I want to give you an example about this because I often talk about this figure because it is quite monumental. So it's 1.2 trillion pounds. In dollars, it's 1.6. In pounds, it's 1.2. Now, people say money moves. It does. But if you're going to move 190 billion euros out of the country, I think that's more than Trident costs, right? If you're going to move that out of the country and you're Barclays Bank, you have to go to the High Court. So every one of these transactions was done through the High Court or a court in the land because it was such a huge sum of money. Now, Barclays, this is a couple of years ago now, because of Brexit, a direct result of Brexit, they're going to lose their passporting services. They moved 190 billion euros from London to Dublin. So now it's in the EU. And that was a small part of the 1.2 trillion pounds that has been moved out from the UK to the EU. And you still get people, and it's always the same types, isn't it? The old crotchety dickheads who they don't really understand anything, but they're old, so they think that they've got some wisdom. And their wisdom has been gleaned by watching Emmerdale Farm every night for their entire lives. Yeah, well done, mate. And reading the Mail, reading the newspaper. No, it's not news, mate. It's just opinion. You read an opinion paper. Try reading the newspaper. Try going to the Voices website because that's just what happened. It's not a spin on it. Just this is what happened. The Associated Press website. Just find out what happened if you want to do that. But they'll say, Gordon Brown, he sold off our gold. He sold off our gold at the lowest possible price and we could have got lots more money for it. And they're right. Gordon Brown was a bit of a dick at the beginning of the new millennium. We thought, well, what's the point of having a gold reserve? That's just a bit silly. Gold prices go up and down like crazy. It's not a good way to run an economy. Let's get rid of these reserves. A portion of the reserves. We've still got quite a lot, but we'll get rid of a portion of the reserves. And we sold a lot of it for quite a cheap price. And then what happened was the gold prices started going up and up and up and up. Now, if Gordon Brown had sold that same amount of gold 10 years later, the country would have had an extra 21 billion in assets. 21 billion. That's not to be sniffed at. That is a lot of money. That could almost pay for a test and trace system that didn't work. And also, I don't know, a load of contracts to your mates for PPE that doesn't arrive. I don't know if it will cover all of it, but, it would be up there. £21 billion. 1.2 trillion is a lot more than that. You're talking of going from 21 billion to 1,200 billion. Wow. A trillion is a million. You give 1 million people £1 million in the UK, that's a trillion. And that's gone. So, considering that the gammons still go on about Gordon Brown's error of selling this gold, do you think we're going to shut up about the error of Brexit and the error of leaving the single market and the customs union and Erasmus? Do you think we're going to stop going on about it? Are we hell going to stop going on about it? Are we going to stop going on about the betrayal of our politicians who teamed up with Vladimir Putin, of all people, in order to get this Brexit thing across the line, in accordance with Alexander Duggan's 1997 work, The Foundations of Geopolitics, which specifically states that one of the things that Russia, by then an impoverished power with a GDP on a par with like Afghanistan, literally, per capita, they hadn't got much, right, that they could use. They had a load of nuclear weapons. They're no good. They couldn't use them. They didn't have much military might. They didn't have any money. What could they do? And he sat down, he wrote, we will disrupt other democracies. We will push for racial tensions. We will push racial tensions in America. We will separate the UK from the EU. That was actually written down in a document. And it was so important to the Russians that the Russian parliament, the Duma, made it compulsory reading in every school in the land. And now here we are. Putin's got exactly what he wanted. Racial tensions in America. The EU basically undermined by the loss of one of its three senior members. And the UK is done for. I mean, the UK is over. Forget about it. It's a dead country walking. We're going to be English, Wanglish, Scottish, no, Irish. From the Northern Irish will be Irish before the end of the decade. We know this is going to happen because Scotland and Northern Ireland are being dragged out the EU against their will. And even the DUP is spitting feathers about the fact that there's a border down the Irish Sea now, which is something that Boris Johnson specifically said he wouldn't do. It's almost as though he's a filthy liar, isn't it? But yeah, point being that the baddies won. The baddies won. Yay. And if they think we're going to stop going on about this and stop mentioning the fact that the Russians were involved in the referendum and the fraud-erendum, the fact that Vote Leave broke the law, Leave.eu broke the law, Believe broke the law, the fact that loads of money came into Aaron Banks' accounts that he didn't tell anyone where it came. 7 million was it that he gave to the Leave.eu campaign, and all this went on, and we didn't even have an investigation into it. And Corbyn didn't call for an investigation into it. One of the many reasons I don't like the chap. Anyway, so going back into, you can leave, don't you? No, Gavin, I could leave. I could, but now I can't. I used to be able to leave this country and go and live and work, start a business, get married, settle down, buy a house, retire in 31 other countries of the world. There's only 193 nations in the world. I could do that in 31 of them. And now that's been taken away. I am stuck here, probably for the rest of my life, with you, Gavin. So, do you know what, mate? First of all, fuck off. And secondly, you're stuck here with me. Ha 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 ha! Enjoy it. So, let's talk about Brexit some more for the rest of time. Because if you're sick of hearing about Brexit, well, I've got news for you. I'm sick of Brexit. So I'm not going to stop talking about it because it still exists. When it doesn't exist, I'll stop talking about it. And I'm not going to leave because my friends are here and my family are here. And basically, I haven't got anything else to do with my life now because Brexit has taken away the opportunities that I had to travel, and I'm a travel presenter in my day job. It's taken them away from me. So I've got nothing better to do. Lucky you. Anyway, so the salt must flow. Oh my God, what? I'm totally furious that there's no investigation into lies and dark money. Of course there isn't, because it's all Tory lies, it's all Tory dark money. UK left the Union. Next, Scotland will leave the Union. Yep, Scotland's out of the way. Are we talking about salty gammon here? I don't know. I hate gammon. I've always hated gammon. I hated gammon when I was a kid. Not like the people who are gammon. Obviously, I don't like them. But I mean the actual meat. Because when I was a kid, I used to watch The Incredible Hulk. You know, the TV show with Lou Ferrigno, or his name is. And in it said at the beginning, I think, of each episode that he got hit by gamma rays. And they turned him into the Incredible Hulk. And because I was a kid, I didn't know the difference between gammon and gamma radiation. I just thought it was the same thing. I thought it was gammon radiation. So the first time my mum puts down a gammon, big slab of gammon in the middle of the table, the dining table, I was just like, I don't want to touch it because I'll turn it into the Incredible Hulk. True story. Corbyn wants to leave the EU too. The EU too. He was a Benite. Yes, he was. BJ is not a liar. He just changes his mind very often. Yeah, sometimes halfway through a sentence. This was a lovely Rorschach Watchman moment. Did I refer to Rorschach? I find it very great. I watched the film of Watchmen the other day again, actually. It's interesting because Alan Moore's name's not on it. Quite pointedly at the beginning it says, based on the comic book by the other guy, Alan. Is it Alan? Oh, it'll come to me. Dave Gibbons. Was it Dave Gibbons? Yeah, Dave Gibbons, who did the art for it. It mentions him, but it doesn't mention Alan Moore, because I guess after watching the absolute abomination that was the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Sean Connery, which made Sean Connery quit acting. That's how bad it was. He never acted again after that. He just went, screw this. So when For Hell came out and when Watchmen came out and V for Vendetta, he's like, I'm not having anything to do with this shit. I think Gavin's having a stroke or something. Can someone get an ambulance to Gavin's house? He's writing I think he's having a breakdown. Can we? We'll just get rid of him. Anyway, at least Putin's got balls. Great. I don't really know what to say to that, because it's like, I'm not a beta male. I don't follow people around because I think, oh, they've got balls. I'll follow them around and then maybe they'll drop some crumbs for me to lick off the floor. I'm not pathetic like that. I see someone who's a bit ballsy and I might respect them for other reasons, but not just because they're ballsy. They have to do something that I respect. They have to treat people with respect, which they don't do in Putin's Russia, Rasputin's Russia, where try being gay in Chechnya, they'll put you in a camp. They will put you in a camp for being gay. And you know what? There's people in Britain who go, oh yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, let's put gay people in the camp. Those people shouldn't be in charge. And those people should not be asked their opinions on human rights. We've got Priti Patel now again bringing up the spectre of the death penalty for the handful of murders that happen in this country every year. Like, the death penalty is a deterrent. It's not. Most people who murder someone don't do it thinking they're going to get caught, for a start. And countries with a death penalty like the US have a death murder rate 5 times higher than the United Kingdom. So, just saying. Hashtag just saying. Also, the other countries that have the death penalty are shit countries. They're countries like Belarus and Saudi Arabia and Iran and China. They're places that basically human rights don't exist. So, and we make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. And if you make a mistake with the death penalty, that's a huge problem. But also, if you just want to be on a marketeer, kind of a free libertarian, laissez-faire, let the market decide bullshitter, killing people is really expensive. It's really, really expensive. On average, it costs over $1 million to kill someone in the state of California. Why? Well, because death row lasts for a good 10 to 20 years on average. And during that time, the convicted murderer, who is banged to rights and, all things being equal, would be in jail, having breakfast, lunch and dinner and not doing very much. They wouldn't be employing a lawyer to get them off the hook. Right. So first of all, they're playing, and I know that the lawyers that work pro bono, for these clients who are on the death row, they might not charge very much. They might charge nothing. They might be pro bono. But they're using court time. You have to pay to go to court. And these cases sometimes go to the Supreme Court. And it costs a lot of money. Do you know how much lawyers cost? Lawyers cost. Do you know how much judges cost? So basically, all that money is going to lawyers. So if you're a lawyer, I guess the death penalty is great because you'll make more money. But if you're thinking that's not a good use of public funds, because it isn't a good use of public funds, we should, I don't know, be spending it on education, health, infrastructure. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea if you don't like spending money on shit. It's not a good idea if you have any kind of morality. It's just not a good idea across the board. And it's not very European. And that's why none of the countries of the EU have the death penalty. And it's why Turkey got rid of the death penalty in its effort to join the European Union. And it's mad now, isn't it? Turkey's got a better relationship with our closest trading neighbours than we have now because it's part of the customs union. Great. It only costs, it only costs too much if the politicians don't want to do it. If they want to do it, it's too expensive. Political fact. Yeah, that's true. Trump reintroduced federal executions, because he's a scumbag and he does not care about the sanctity of human life in any way, shape or form. And look, if it worked, if it actually deterred people from murdering and we didn't have any murders because of it, then I'll be like, oh, well, okay, I guess I see the logic. But there is no logic. There is literally no logic whatsoever behind it because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And the countries that have really high murder rates, that no one's put off by the death penalty. They just aren't. People are worth more in prison than they are on the streets when the prison system is privatised. Well, that's true. And that's happened in America. And I'd hate that to happen here, where we get these privatised prisons and basically judges are bribed by the people who own the prisons to send more people down for petty crimes that they shouldn't go to jail for. But we live in a country in which something like three quarters of all crimes in this country are drugs related. If we legalise drugs, that number would decrease massively. So the number of crimes that you could feasibly commit would be diminished. And we could spend more money on policing people from stopping murdering each other and stopping domestic violence, which is one of the precursors to many, many murders, is domestic violence. I mean, owning a gun in America, as I keep saying, if you own a gun and you're American, you're 7 times more likely to be killed with a gun. Why? Because when someone kills you, and I hate to tell you this, but I discovered this when I was traveling around the world, because no one knew me. Nobody knew me. And so no one punched me in the face. No one tried to stab me. No one tried to shoot me. Because 99 times out of 100, if someone means harm to you, it's someone you know. It just is. Because they've got to build up a grudge, don't they? It's probably not a good idea me doing these videos, but that's not the same thing. Anyway, no one has any idea where I am. I'm a man of mystery. If we don't fight to reverse Brexit, the Brexiteers will come after us. Death penalty, camps for dissidents, schools will become induction camps, etc. That's from Marcy. Absolutely right. We have to fight. We have to fight, rejoin, and make sure that we have a roadmap for rejoining. This is what we want. This is what we see is happening. We've got to take into account the fact that Ireland will probably become reunified. They're going to get a border poll very soon. And once they have a border poll, they can have another one every 7 years. That's in the Good Friday Agreement. Scotland will get its independence vote because they'll have the backing of America. It's huge. If America doesn't like you, you're stuffed. Because America can just say, hey, we're going to put trade sanctions on our British friends. And then they do that. And another thing that I was going to mention about Putin that he was very successful at, which was suggested by Alexander Duggan, which is undermining NATO. 21 of our EU allies are actually NATO allies as well. So us leaving the EU has permanently damaged NATO as an institution. And also, if you noticed, Trump was really into damaging NATO as an institution. And that's why he whinged all the time about people not spending the 2% of the GDP that was supposed to be spent on defense. And he seemed to think of it like it was a big pool of money that he would get the money, that like America would get this money. No. It was what the country paid out of its own GDP towards its own military. And it wasn't until 2022 that it was supposed to be in place. And the whole concept of it was invented by Barack Obama. Anyway, NATO is, it is a joke now. They had their Brexit, now they want their Brentrance. Fair's fair. Yeah, okay. Killing an innocent prisoner by mistake is reprehensible. Another reason against the death penalty. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also, it's state-sanctioned murder, which just shouldn't be allowed in a civilized society. And if we look at the march of history, of progress, we have become more and more nice as time has gone on. We've had some dips and some ups and downs, but we've become nicer people. We've been nicer to each other. The same people who go, oh, political correctness gone mad, are the same people who want people to be horrible. They don't want people to be polite and nice. Oh, they do to them. They do to them. They'll cry their salty tears when you call them a gammon. Oh, you can't call me that. It's racist. It's not, mate. It's really not, because I'm not talking about the circumstances of your birth. I'm talking about the fact that you're a gobshite. And it's just another word for a particular brand of gobshite. So, but yeah, the political correctness is just being polite. It's just being nice to people. It's just not being horrible. It's just they wanted to give it a name so they could demean it. Oh, we can't call it being nice because that'll make us sound really horrible. That'll make us sound like monsters when we say we don't want it. It's like all lives matter. Of course they do. It's a truism. You're saying all lives don't matter? Yeah, but no one needs to protest for that, because I think we all agree that all lives matter. The fact is that black lives seem to matter less. So let's bring attention to that and let's try and do something about it. But that obviously upsets the people like Loser Fox and friends. Anyway, right, so I'm coming up to the hour mark. Sorry, it's a bit late starting off there. We have a nice New Year Eve. Fellow Remainers in the Last Supper is now. So cheers to you all. Don't want to think about tomorrow, but thanks for joining us, Plum Duff. Paul Mason said, read the book Drug Wars to understand the need to rethink our approach to drug use and criminalisation. Yeah, Paul, I think it sounds like I'm on board with that. And if I just get this, so if you want to help out the campaign, David's saying Happy New Year there in Welsh. If you want to help the campaign to remain, if you want more of the videos like this, please head over to my to my YouTube page and subscribe if you can. Also, Patreon if you want to support me, just a few pounds a month towards tech things, so buy a new battery from your laptop and have a microphone that works and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for everyone who's already given. But if you head over to patreon.com/Jack Ginger Scouser. If you want to get more involved in the Rejoin movement, the nascent Rejoin movement, head over to rejoineu.uk, and at the very bottom of the page is a form that'll send an email directly to me, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. I do have a lot of emails to get through. I was going to do the See You Next Tuesday awards today. I was going to try and do it live. I've got 20 categories of various See You Next Tuesdays who will get an award, which is going to be a golden plate with shit on it. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but like I had to think about it. And two things came to mind. First of all, if I do it today, it's going to be rushed and not as good. And I thought, well, what I can do, instead of doing it live, pre-record it, put all graphics up, when I'm talking about the most obnoxious tweet of the year, I can actually show on the screen what the tweet is without me doing this while I'm talking to you. So get all that sorted. Haha. Right. There we go. Reconnection successful. Okay. Sorry, I lost you for a minute there. Don't know what happened. Right. BLM funded by Soros. Yes, of course, because that's the way the world works. He's in stasis until we rejoin. Happy New Year to all the regulars from Choxal. Sorry for dropping out there for a couple of minutes. My internet went off, but now I'm back. I tried calling Kieran. I don't know how that ruined the internet, but I was going to give Kieran a Happy New Year because I believe Kieran the Van Man, he is in Calais at the moment, struggling to get through the crowds. Maybe I'll come back on later and have a chat with him, see what he wants to do. Feck, when is he going to do the awards? Yeah, Kevin, I'm going to do the See You Next Tuesday awards. It'll be in a few weeks' time. I'm going to get the website set up so we can all vote on who we want to win in each category. There'll be different candidates for each category. I'll announce the winners probably around the 21st or something of On Call. What? Oh, sorry, Daffod's On Call. When are you back, Graham? I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not going anywhere. We're on lockdown. We're in tier 4. So, I'll be staying here. And, should be coming at you at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Please call Kieran again. He didn't answer. He just went straight to answering machine. So, he can be hard to get. If he's driving and he can't answer the phone, then it's understandable. But apparently he is in Calais today, coming back with an empty van. and seeing the carnage. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, everyone, to all your family, Graham. Thanks for that, Kevin. And before I go, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on these live casts over the last couple of months. They've been really fun to do. I've learned a lot. It's been great having this two-way dialogue. It's so much better than just talking at the camera and hoping that I make sense. Obviously, people can pick me up on things that I say as I'm saying them, make really good remarks, ask me questions. It's just been fabulous. And we seem to have got a little regular meeting of people, and everyone's sort of messaging each other in the messages while the show is going on, which is fantastic. I'm going to keep this going because it works. Yay! I didn't know if it would work, but it's working. I could do with some more viewers, so let's work on that in the new year. But technically speaking, I think we're almost there when things don't go horribly wrong. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me over the last couple of months. I will be back tomorrow with another HughesRound at 1 p.m. And until then, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. 2020 was absolutely fucking awful. And with any luck, 2021 won't be quite as awful. It'll still be awful, but it won't be quite as awful. But the important thing is that we stay together, we still communicate, we hang out, we get online, we make sure that we don't go our separate ways and disappear into the ether, because we want to rejoin the EU, and we are here. There are millions of us, and we're not going to be cowed. We're not going to shut up. We want to rejoin. We have a star of the EU flag, and we want our star back. And that is the message going into the next year of the 2020s, which will be 2021. So, until then, I will say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.